In a most distressing hour, my pleas from the hospital went unheard, as my kin was consumed by a tempest of emotion over a mere citation for the carriage's misdeed. What cause hath stirred such commotion? Thou art not perishing. Fret not in haste, dear friend. Mark doth find himself in dire need of coin to settle the imposed penalty forthwith. Thus, my legal counsel did ascend to my lofty abode, and upon their arrival they beheld the dire consequences wrought by their oversight. I express my gratitude for thy presence with me on this day. May fortune smile upon thee this day, wherever thou mayest find thyself. Pray, do share in the comments whence thou art observing and the hour that doth grace thy locale. Pray, let us embark upon this tale together. The sharp, biting essence of antiseptic lingered in the atmosphere, a cold and unyielding aroma that did naught to conceal the iron-laden fragrance of my own lifeblood. Each breath was but a fleeting triumph, every throb of my heart a sorrowful echo that I existed, in a manner of speaking. Upon a cot in the stark, unyielding light of a chamber of healing, I reclined, my left limb raised and pulsating with the relentless rhythm of suffering. Physicians and healers did flit in and out, their visages gentle yet detached, their inquiries sharp and exacting. They had rendered me stable, evaluated the harm done, and departed, leaving me in solitude with my musings and the soft, unyielding chime of the monitors at my side. Thus commenced the true agony. With a clumsy hand, I sought my device upon the modest table that lay beside me. The visage of the screen lay shattered, a delicate web of fissures extending from the core, reflecting the hidden rupture I feared was unfurling within my very limb. Mine own fingers, trembling from a tempest of shock and an unnamed affliction, didst seek the contact of mine progenitors. Mine own progenitors, mine emergency heralds, the souls who were meant to stand by my side. The initial summons fell upon the silent void, and the subsequent one met with a similar fate. Upon the third endeavor, my mother did at last respond, her tone laced with vexation. "Good Sir Alex, what dost thou seek? Pray, dost thou possess knowledge of the hour? Verily, thy brother dost find himself in a tempest of despair, and we strive to navigate these turbulent waters." A chill, more biting than the meager hospital coverlet, enveloped me. "Mother," I did softly utter, my voice strained, "I find myself in the emergency room." There occurred a mishap, followed by a pause of stillness. Then, a breath, tinged with longing. "What misfortune hath befallen us? Art thou well? Pray tell, dost thou find thyself in the clutches of death? Forsooth, 'tis but a mere traffic citation that hath befallen Mark. Canst thou believe it? A citation for transgressing the laws of the road? And he is utterly beset by sorrow. He doth require coin forthwith to settle the penalty, lest they seize his chariot. He doth seem on the verge of weeping." From the shadows, my sire's voice, a deep murmur of vexation, did echo forth. "Is that fair Alex I see before me? Bid him cease his clamor forthwith. Mark doth require our presence in this hour of need. What doth cause him to call in such a state of distress? Fear and trepidation?" Mine breast did constrict, as though a cruel wire of thorns were entwined about my very lungs. In a chamber of urgency, I found myself reclined, bruised and solitary, whilst they trivialized my plight, attributing it to mere fuss, for my brother, aged 30, lamented over a mere parking infraction. Or perchance it was a transgression of the moving kind. It mattered not. It was of little consequence. Dear mother and father, I fear I may have sustained a grievous injury to my leg. I am to receive examinations of mine own form. Once more I endeavored, the phrases ensnared within my gullet. "O Alex, cast not such a tempestuous shadow upon thyself." Mine own mother did speak, her tone softening but a touch too much, rendering it somewhat patronizing. "Thou art of great strength. Thou shalt fare well. Mark doth require our utmost attention at this very moment. He doth possess a tender heart regarding matters of this nature. What dost thou summon in such haste and alarm? Thou art not perishing. Fret not in haste, for there is no cause for alarm. Mark doth require coin with great haste to settle the penalty." The connection fell silent. She didst sever our discourse with haste. The device did tumble from my quaking grasp upon the slender bedding. The frigid steel of the hospital bed's confines did prick my flesh with a biting chill. I gazed upon the unyielding tiles above, the harsh glow of the overhead light humming a tune that echoed loudly in the stillness that followed their utterances. Thou art not perishing. Fret not in haste, for there is no cause for alarm. Mark findeth himself in dire need of coin to settle the penalty forthwith. Those utterances echoed within the chambers of my thoughts. A harsh and devious serenade to slumber. It was not merely the mishap that held significance. It was not merely the sound of the ringing device that held significance. It encompassed all matters of existence. A span of existence distilled into a singular, harsh revelation. In my youth, I bore the mantle of responsibility with unwavering resolve. Mark was the one of tender heart. The soul who sought additional aid, boundless forbearance, and an abundance of all that is required. Should I attain an A, it would be but a matter of course. If Mark received a C, it was hailed as a commendable effort in his endeavors. Should I desire a thing, I would gather my coins for its acquisition. If Mark did desire aught, he would unleash a tempest of discontent or don a visage of sorrow. And in some manner, the coin did manifest, oft from the coffers of my progenitor's savings. From the time I first donned the mantle of labor at the tender age of 16, I became aware of the contributions I had made, albeit in a roundabout manner, to the coffers of my savings. Upon my entrance to the halls of learning, I toiled at 2 employments to procure tomes and sustain my humble abode, all the while drawing but scant loans, resolute in my quest to not encumber my progenitors. Mark did venture forth to a local institution of learning, where the burden of expense was largely borne by others, who did grumble incessantly about the financial toll, yet curiously managed to unearth additional funds for his revelries and merriment. Upon his graduation, there arose a great insistence upon me to assist him in securing employment, despite the fact that I was merely embarking upon the journey of my own vocation. He gazes upon thee with admiration, Alex. Thou art his elder sibling. He doth require thy counsel. Assistance swiftly transformed into monetary aid. A handful of coins here for lease, a sum of gold there for the mending of a chariot, settling a debt of credit he had let slip from his mind. It was ever thus portrayed as a fleeting sojourn, merely until he found his footing upon the stage of life. Yet the feet did not find their destined ground. He would find employment, only to be cast aside, seeking further assistance. Mine progenitors would exhale with heavy hearts, twist their hands in despair, and then summon me forth. Alas, dear Alex, Mark doth find himself in a most dire predicament. He doth speak of returning to his abode. Pray, grant him assistance but this once, I beseech thee. It would signify the very essence of our being. It was not solely Mark. Mine progenitors hath cultivated a costly penchant for seeking assistance. A repair to the roof, which their purse could not sustain, a bill for healing, and the need for a new carriage. I would dispatch the coin forthwith. It seemed akin to a perverse offering, a sacrifice of sorts. Mine own toilsome coin, dispatched to kin, for in unity lies strength. I did find reason in mine actions. They were mine own progenitors. They did nurture me. Mark was my kin, a bond of blood and spirit. He was merely traversing a fleeting moment in the tapestry of existence. I did persuade mine own heart that this was love's true essence. This was kinship. Should I bestow ample aid, render sufficient support, and bear the weight of responsibility, perchance they would gaze upon me with the same untroubled esteem they held for Mark, even in the throes of his shortcomings. That was my oversight. Mine own profound and tormenting yearning for their unwavering approbation, for the gentle fondness they bestowed upon Mark, did bind me to this exhausting entanglement. I believed my toils were crafting pathways, yet they merely strengthened the bonds that bind me. In times of uncertainty, I found myself reflecting upon a visit to my abode, whereupon I discovered not a single likeness of my own gracing the walls, whilst the visage of Mark adorned the mantelpiece and surrounding surfaces. Even relics from his high school endeavors, in which he scarcely engaged, took precedence over my own achievements. The discourse of the day revolved solely around his trifling dramas and fleeting triumphs, whilst my own merits were acknowledged with naught but a cursory nod and a swift diversion of conversation. It seemed as though I was but a servant, a steadfast tool in the grand design, yet not a beloved kin in the manner that Mark was esteemed. Yet I would stifle the emotions deep within. In their own manner, they do hold affection for thee, I would muse. They doth fret more for Mark, For he is the tender soul, reclining in the yard, the buzzing light above, the sharp scent of antiseptic, the pulsing ache in my leg, their voices resounding in the air. Thou art not perishing. Mark finds himself in dire need of coin, with time pressing upon him most urgently. All fell into place. There existed not a singular path to affection. There existed naught but this. This was the most profound declaration of my station in their realm, positioned beneath the weight of Mark's parking citation, beneath the measure of their trifling disturbances. The longing for their affection did not simply fade away. It was cruelly slain by their apathy in my hour of utmost despair. This was my nadir, solitary, wounded, and at last, perceiving the verity unclouded by the misty veil of expectation. And in that instant, the anguish within my breast, unconnected to the mishap, yielded to a different sensation, one frigid and unyielding. Determine thy course. I shall no longer be the steadfast source of wisdom. I shall not be the alternative choice. I shall not serve as the source of gold. They sought to elevate Mark's ephemeral, contrived turmoil above the genuine plight that I faced. Verily, they may possess that, yet all else shall be forfeited unto them. Once more, I extended my hand towards the device, my grip more assured than before. The fractured visage of the screen glimmered, revealing the call they had cast aside. I did cast it aside. I didst open mine contacts and scrolled past mine progenitors. I did venture forth to the esteemed Ms. Emily Dawson, my counsel in matters of law. To summon Ms. Dawson from the chamber of urgency felt most uncanny. My voice, a mere whisper, trembled with the agony and tumultuous feelings that had just surged within me. Fair Ms. Dawson, I did declare, striving to maintain my composure. It is I, Alex. Pray forgive my late summons, for I find myself in the realm of the emergency room. She exhibited a demeanor of tranquility and expertise. Good Sir Alex, dost thou find thyself in a state of well-being? What dost thou inquire of? Pray tell, what hath transpired? I recounted the mishap in succinct terms, yet as I reached the crux, my words spilled forth, laced with a touch of acrimony. I did summon my progenitors to impart the tidings unto them. They did declare I was causing a stir, asserting that my brother had succumbed to a fit over a mere traffic citation, whilst they busied themselves with his plight. They did declare that my demise was not imminent, and urged me to refrain from such frantic calls. And thus, they did sever the connection. A moment's hush doth linger on her side. A silence most distinct from that of my mother's scornful nature. This one bore a weighty resonance upon mine ears. I perceive, quoth Ms. Dawson in gentle tones. Good Sir Alex, that doth appear to be. My heart doth ache for thee in this trying hour, particularly in such a moment as this. Enough, dear Miss Dawson, I proclaimed, my utterance resolute even in the throes of my anguish. Verily completed. I yearn to sever their ties. All of it, indeed. The coin I dispatch. All that exists. And I must ascertain what measures I may undertake, within the bounds of the law, to ensure they are forever barred from such actions henceforth. To shield mine own self. From yonder folk. From all that doth encompass it. With haste, I recounted the tale of fiscal aid, the unending pleas, and the bias that pervades. Fair Miss Dawson lent her ear with utmost patience. From thine words, Alex, it doth appear a manifest pattern of both emotional and financial subjugation. She did declare, whilst the severance of personal bonds may rest upon one's own volition, we may indeed pursue legal avenues to delineate financial confines and safeguard thy possessions and forthcoming prospects. We possess the ability to annul any powers of attorney, alter the beneficiaries upon accounts, and guarantee that they are not inscribed in any manner that would grant them dominion or entry should misfortune befall thee. It shall be a tangled affair. They shall not respond favorably. I care not for their reactions any longer. I did declare, and verily I did mean it. The unhealed scar of their disregard within the confines of the emergency room hath seared away the final remnants of my concern for their favor or the visage they present to the world. What course of action must I undertake? To the hospital I can come, she declared with unwavering resolve. Let us embark upon the task of crafting and sealing the initial scrolls of agreement. Let us safeguard thee, Alex. As I awaited the arrival of Ms. Dawson, a nurse did enter to assess my vital signs. She possessed a gentle spirit. Her smile, most sincere. She didst adjust mine blanket and replenished my vessel with water. In that fleeting instant, the tender gestures of an unknown soul bore a weight far greater than the years of love bestowed upon me by my own kin, which often came with strings attached. Lo! A missive did appear from my companion Sarah. Alas, fair Alex, I have just been informed of thy misfortune. Alas, a heavy heart doth weigh upon my soul. Pray, do inform me should you require aught, anything whatsoever. Dispatching benevolent wishes for restoration. A gentle and unforeseen warmth didst unfurl within my breast. Sarah was aware of certain tribulations within my kin, yet I had ever so skillfully minimized their gravity, shielding them even from the gaze of my companions. Her humble missive, devoted wholly to my welfare, stood in sharp relief to the summons from my progenitors. It was a thread of hope amidst the tempest. It did call to mind that true bonds could be found beyond that noxious sphere. Miss Dawson didst arrive about an hour hence. She bore an air of propriety, clad in a tailored ensemble, with a slender satchel in hand. Beholding her enter the stark chamber was akin to the arrival of gallant allies, as though aid had at last graced the scene. She didst repose beside my bed, serene and intent. She hath brought forth the initial documents as per our discourse. She did expound upon each one with great care. Reversal of a broad mandate I had unwisely bestowed upon my mother in times long past, merely as a precaution. Modifications to the designated heirs of a modest life assurance contract. Amendments to a rudimentary testament draft I had previously composed. Clear and reasoned measures to revoke their lawful entitlements and assertions. As I inscribed upon each parchment, my hand unwavering despite the throbbing in my limb, a distinct anguish arose within me. Alas, sorrow doth weigh heavily upon the heart. This was not merely the act of inscribing upon parchment. It was the solemn act of severing ties from my kin. The parchment of demise for the aspiration I hath held dear for 3 decades. Each signature struck like a hammer upon the decaying visage of kinship-aiding kin. Yet, amidst the sorrow, there blossomed a burgeoning spirit of strength. I did seize the reins once more. Forsooth, I found myself placing mine own needs above all else, perchance for the very first occasion in mine existence. Alex, Miss Dawson did declare, halting as I inscribed upon the parchment. Thou hast spoken of thy steadfast support in matters of coin for many a year. Hast thou records of this matter? Indeed, I proclaimed, my voice resonating with new-found strength. Upon the passage of 6 moons, I commenced the diligent recording of my endeavors. After Mark found himself in dire straits once more, seeking an urgent release of funds for a debt of which I was blissfully unaware. A sense of disquiet lingered in the air. In a state of perplexity, I found myself compelled to preserve the chronicles of my financial dealings, transcribing missives wherein they sought coin, and on occasion I took to recording their fervent entreaties, laden with demands and the weight of guilt. A most primal urge, methinks. Lo, that was the subtle turn of fate. The documentation was not a hasty act of retribution. In time, a gradual illumination did unfold, revealing the unsound nature of the dynamic, intertwined with an earnest yearning to affirm my own perplexing existence. They did persist in asserting that my thoughts were but figments of fancy, claiming my contributions were meager, whilst they proclaimed their own efforts as bounteous on my behalf. A fragment of my being commenced the chronicling, to furnish evidence for mine own self, to cease the insidious whispers that echo within my own mind. Miss Dawson's gaze did betray a moment of astonishment, swiftly followed by a nod of commendation. Verily, that is most excellent, Alex. That record shall prove most vital should they choose to challenge any matter or, more probable still, seek to tarnish thy good name. It doth furnish tangible proof of the breadth of financial reliance and thine endeavors. I bestowed upon her the sacred keys to the realm of online banking and directed her to the ethereal vaults of cloud storage, wherein I would safeguard my cherished documents. She didst commence the swift gathering of figures upon her portable device. The ever-increasing figure upon the display, the sum of coin I had, in truth, relinquished, was most astonishing. It was not merely a handful scattered about. Through the passage of time, it amassed into a modest treasure, a sum sufficient for a dwelling's initial offering, my own steadfast reserve. Instead, It had bolstered Mark's lack of accountability and the expectations and way of life of my progenitors. Whilst Ms. Dawson toiled, my device did buzz once more. A missive from Mark. Hast thou heard the tidings of thy presence in the infirmary? Pray tell, dost thou seek to garner attention with such pretense? My progenitors declare it to be naught but a mere sprain. Pray, dost thou know if mother hath informed thee of my need for coin to procure the ticket? Pray, it is of some urgency. Mine blood did chill, then blaze with righteous ire. Not a syllable concerning my welfare, merely a perpetuation of the same egocentric tale. It did fortify my determination. This was not kinship. This was a commerce exchange they believed they had rightful claim to. Fair Miss Dawson hath completed the preliminary scrolls of parchment. Verily, Alex, this hath been duly signed and initiated. I shall take upon myself the entirety of this matter henceforth. I shall duly inform thy progenitors of the alterations. In light of the present circumstances, I do foresee their response to be noteworthy. Verily, they are most assuredly en route hither at this very moment, are they not? I did acquiesce, a gesture of foreboding constricting within my belly, notwithstanding my steadfast determination. Perchance, subsequent to the hospital's summons to them as well. Excellent. She spake, her tone serene. Let them approach. We stand ready. We did bide our time. The barren chamber thrummed with a palpable sense of expectation. The soft murmur of the devices, the far-off echoes of the emergency room. They served as the stage for a conflict on the verge of unfolding. Not with brawn, but with verity and the weight of repercussions. Mine leg did throb, a corporeal tether binding me to the verity of mine plight. Mine heart did thump, not from dread any longer, but from the fervor of clash. Upon gazing at the heap of inscribed parchments, the testament that Miss Dawson was diligently assembling, I pondered the weight of her endeavor. I was no longer the frail youth, yearning for the nod of validation. I was a gentleman of firm resolve, steadfast upon the foundation of verity. The portal to my humble abode of labor did swing ajar, and lo, my progenitors did enter forthwith. Their arrival was a meticulously crafted spectacle. Grins affixed upon their visages, crafted for the delight of any wandering attendants. A swift, nearly dramatic, "Oh, Alex, my dear." We did hasten forth with all due speed as soon as we were able to break free. Mine mother's voice did ascend to a pitch most slightly excessive. Mine sire did cast an eager eye upon the timepiece, his countenance betraying a sense of vexation. They drew near the bed, yet their gaze was first captured by Miss Dawson. Their smiles did wane, supplanted by a shadow of doubt. "Who art thou?" my sire commanded, his tone shedding its theatrical warmth in an instant. "Good morrow," Miss Dawson did declare with a serene demeanor, as she did rise from her seat. "I am Emily Dawson, the legal counsel for Alex." The visages fell away in their entirety. My mother's visage turned ashen, then bloomed with a fiery hue. My sire's jaw did clench with fervor. "Counselor, what dost thou behold? Good Sir Alex, prithee, what tidings dost thou bring? Art thou bringing forth a suit against us?" "Nay, mother, father," I proclaimed, my voice unwavering and distinct, to my own astonishment. "Verily, I shall not pursue legal action against thee." I gazed into their eyes with unwavering intent. "I do shield mine own self from thee." Mine mother didst emit a soft gasp, grasping her breast with great theatricality. "Guarding thine own self? From whence we come? Thy very progenitors? After all the deeds we have wrought for thy sake? All that thou hast done for me?" I uttered once more, a sharpness lacing my tone. "Is that the appellation thou dost bestow upon it?" Disregarding my entreaties from the chamber of urgency whilst Mark succumbed to despair over a mere citation for the road? Admonishing me to remain calm, for I was not on the brink of demise? "Is that the entirety of thine obligation, as thou dost perceive it?" Their gazes flitted aside, unable to confront my own. Our hearts were heavy with concern for Mark. He was greatly troubled. Mine own mother didst sputter, forthwith taking refuge in the art of rationalization. "Yet lo, the hospital did summon us regardless. We were assured of thy well-being. Is it well? A mirthless chuckle escaped my lips, a sound so arid it pained my very ribs. Here I lie, perhaps with a fractured limb, ensnared by the numbing embrace of opiates, abandoned in solitude whilst my kin dote upon a man of full stature, fretting over a mere citation for parking. Pray, do not utter that I was well. Thou art crafting a mountain from but a molehill, Alex, spake my father, his tone growing stern. Thou art indulging in excessive theatrics. We did make haste to arrive forthwith. Mark did require our presence, his oft-repeated declaration elevating his desires to the foremost position. Did he find himself in want of coin? I didst correct him. The verity unveiled. He sought coin to satisfy a penalty. That held greater significance than thy offspring's presence in the emergency room. Verily, it hath been oft observed that wealth doth hold a greater sway over the hearts of men. Mine own coin. Fair Miss Dawson did advance, bearing a tome of parchment in her grasp. Good sir and madam, I come bearing tidings from young Alex, who hath engaged my services to convey his resolutions concerning matters of both his heart and his purse. Her tone was measured and precise, a sharp divergence from the tempest of feelings that swirled within. From this moment forth, Alex shall no longer render any voluntary financial contributions to thee and his brother. This encompasseth all allowances, payments of debts, or aid with accounts due. Furthermore, he hath rescinded all powers of attorney, amended his last testament, and altered the beneficiaries on his accounts to exclude thee. She did present the documents unto my father. He accepted them, his visage a canvas of incredulity. Mine own mother did seize one from his grasp, her gaze flitting o'er the page, her lips parting in a mute exclamation as the import took root within her mind. The coinage! That was what did strike them most profoundly. Neither my anguish nor their disregard, but rather the lamentation of a once steadfast source of revenue. "Thou canst not do this," my mother did cry, her voice shedding all semblance of tranquillity. "We are in dire need of that coin. Mark doth require that coin. We have grown accustomed to its presence." Verily, I did utter in hushed tones, "Thou hast come to place thy trust in it. Thou didst behold me as naught but a vessel of coin, rather than as thy progeny." "This is most egregious," my father bellowed, his grip upon the papers tightening as he crumpled them in his hand. "After all the toil and tribulations we endured for thy sake, we nurtured thee, and thus thou art indebted to us." His visage burned with fury, the facade of civility stripped away, laying bare the arrogance that lay beneath. "What tribute dost thou seek from me?" I inquired, lifting myself with a gentle effort, disregarding the sharp pang that coursed through my leg. "Do I bear a debt for the years spent in the shadow of another's glory? Do I find myself indebted to thee for perpetually rescuing Mark whilst thou dost extol my virtues of responsibility, only to chastise me by demanding my scarce resources? Shall I render thee payment for thy neglect in mine hour of anguish? We have never cast you aside," my mother did assert, the manipulation re-emerging once more. "Thou art but conjuring phantoms of the mind. Thou art a heartless and thankless offspring. Mark is the soul who doth wrestle with his fate. He doth require greater assistance. Thou hast ever been the one most facile." This was their central tale. I was gentle in my demeanor, for I wrought no troubles upon them, but rather offered remedies to their plight. Mark proved to be a challenge, his temperament delicate, as he frequently found himself in need of rescue, thus warranting their attention and my monetary contributions. "Pray, dost thou believe I conjure fanciful visions?" I did proclaim, my tone perilously subdued. "Pray, what dost thou mean by thy neglect towards me? What of elevating Mark in our considerations?" I cast mine eyes upon Miss Dawson. "Fair Miss Dawson, wouldst thou be so kind as to play the recording from earlier?" Miss Dawson didst nod, withdrawing her device of communication. Upon the moment my mother did respond, I found myself compelled to capture the exchange upon my device, driven by an odd impulse, a dark fascination with the manner of their reactions. The recording hath been set to sync with mine cloud storage, and I did grant Ms. Dawson access thereto. She didst press the play button. The barren chamber echoed with the metallic timbre of my own weary utterance. "Mother, I find myself in the emergency room." Lo! An accident did occur, met with my mother's exasperated sigh, my father's indifferent grunt, and then their voices, sharp and distinct as the winter's chill. What cause hath stirred such commotion? Thou art not perishing. Fret not in haste, for there is no cause for alarm. Mark doth require coin with great haste to settle the penalty imposed upon him. The melody ceased abruptly. Silence lingered in the atmosphere, heavy and oppressive. Mine progenitors beheld the device of Miss Dawson, then turned their gaze upon me, their visages locked in a visage of dread. Their own utterances, their own merciless apathy, echoed back to them in unmistakable sound. The deceitful whispers perished upon their tongues. The justifications rang empty. This was not a mere display of theatrics from Alex. Lo! Here they stand, ensnared in their own misdeeds. What dost thou mean? What dost thou behold? Mine own mother did stammer, her visage pale as the moon's soft glow. Verily, I proclaimed, gazing directly upon them, this is the verity. Such were thy words. Such is thine essence. The visage of my sire twisted in fury, a dread countenance revealing the raw essence of unbridled privilege. Thou hast captured our voices in thine own device. How dost thou presume to challenge me? Such an act is against the law. Verily, in this condition, it doth not abide by such circumstances. With a serene demeanor, Miss Dawson did interpose, dispelling his bravado with but a singular truth of the law. Verily, the substance doth proclaim its worth. Dost thou not concur? It doth most clearly depict the essence of the bond shared, as well as the precedence afforded to Mr. Miller's genuine medical plight in contrast to his brother's trifling concern. This recording, along with the comprehensive financial records that Alex hath gathered, she did point towards her laptop screen whereupon a considerable sum of coin was displayed. Offers a persuasive argument should you elect to challenge Alex's resolution to withdraw financial assistance. It indeed undermines any assertion of his ingratitude when considered alongside the weighty evidence of his considerable contributions and your recorded disregard. They found themselves ensnared in a most dire predicament. Their visage lay in ruins, not solely to mine eyes, but to an impartial, discerning witness as well. The burden of financial loss weighed heavily, and the proof stood resolute and irrefutable. Fury clashed with dread within their gaze. "We shall bring forth a suit against thee," my mother cried, her finger quivering as it pointed in my direction. "We shall proclaim to all the world the wretchedness of thy nature as a son. Thou shalt rue this day. Thou art at liberty to seek any lawful recourse thou findest fitting, good Mrs. Miller," spoke Miss Dawson with a measured grace. "Yet, take heed that any such endeavor shall necessitate the complete revelation of these truths and documents in a public assembly. And slander is also a matter of law." I gazed upon my progenitors, those who were meant to be my refuge, my kin. They appeared as unfamiliar souls, marred by avarice and the frustration of unfulfilled dominion. "Depart," I uttered with gentle breath. "Pray, take thy leave. All words have fled the stage." They paused for a brief moment, perchance anticipating my retreat, my contrition, my supplication. Yet I gazed upon them, stripped of all former hope and anguish, perceiving them at last for their true selves, now simmering, vanquished in this singular, vital conflict. They didst turn and exit the confines of the cubicle, the wrinkled legal scrolls still grasped in my father's hand. The soft whisper of the door's closure echoed like the final curtain falling on a tragic tale, a sorrowful and burdensome chapter now concluded. The stillness they departed with bore weight, yet it was not devoid of substance. It was suffused with the gentle murmur of the machines, the far-off tread of footsteps in the corridor, and the subtle aroma of antiseptic wafting through the air. Yet, for the very first occasion, it seemed as though this realm belonged solely to me, no longer yearning for their endorsement, their summons, their consent, but rather entirely my own. Fair Miss Dawson didst collect her belongings. "They shall contend with this, Alex," she proclaimed, her voice resuming its usual serene cadence. "They shall endeavor to render thy existence burdensome, anticipate wrathful missives, be they calls or texts from Mark, perchance even some scathing epistles or posts upon the social sphere, crafted to tarnish thy reputation." Verily, I did proclaim, and thus I acted. The tempest raged still, yet the calm at its heart had traversed. The central clash hath reached its conclusion. "All shall be managed by my hand," she did assure me. "Your documentation doth possess great strength. Their conduct, especially that which hath been recorded, shall swiftly close off many of their legal avenues. Though they may raise a clamor, they possess no rightful claim to compel thy support. Once Miss Dawson departed, the corporeal torment re-emerged, a relentless and muted throb that lingered in the shadows of the mind. Yet it was nearly a cherished torment, a stabilizing feeling following the tempest of emotions. Though my body lay in disarray, for the first time in many a moon, I found myself complete, unshackled, and liberated. The days within the confines of the hospital did indeed blend into one another, marked by corporeal anguish, examinations, and counsel. Yet, the realm of the heart had undergone a profound transformation, akin to the very earth trembling beneath one's feet. Fair Sarah didst arrive, bearing blooms and heartfelt solicitude. Our discourse on my progenitors was rather scant. We found no necessity for such action. Her presence, her gentle grace, served as a testament to the beauty of kindness. She beheld me. The anticipated tempest arose with great swiftness upon my return to mine abode, limping upon crutches, filled with ire from Mark's missives, and my mother's frantic, beseeching voices interspersed with vehement reproaches. I made no reply. Miss Dawson did counsel against excessive discourse, permitting her to manage all correspondence. Then did the tumult of society ensue. My progenitors were adept artisans in the craft of shaping their visage. They commenced with a gentle whisper, ambiguous musings upon the tribulations wrought by familial discord and the ungracious disposition of certain souls. A far-flung relative, perchance, hath imparted a skewed tale of occurrences, and thus I received a missive steeped in disappointment regarding the bonds of kinship. It pained the heart to witness their cunning machinations, to behold those who fell prey to their deceitful charms. Yet, forthwith arose the opposing tides. Sarah, with a gentle hand, did shield my name amidst our shared companions. A kinswoman, long silent and estranged from our kin, hath now sought to bridge the chasm of years past. Good morrow, Alex. Her missive conveyed, I have been apprised of the events that transpired concerning thine progenitors. And behold, Mark, pray, take heed, for I wish to convey that my faith in thee is unwavering. For many a year, I beheld the patterns unfold before mine eyes. Thou hast acted with wisdom and virtue. To summon such valor in prioritizing oneself is indeed a remarkable feat. Thou art not solitary. That missive stirred emotions within me, not of sorrow, but of deep-seated relief. A dispassionate observer, one who had beheld their actions, validated my truth. It was not solely I. I was not mad of mind. I was not lost in fanciful thoughts. These bonds, forged in the fires of mutual comprehension and heartfelt encouragement, became my new-found kin. Ms. Dawson navigated the tumult of legal matters with remarkable deftness. The threats of litigation from the parents dwindled, quelled by the weight of the evidence Alex had gathered and the composed, resolute replies of Ms. Dawson. It seems that Mark endeavored to summon legal counsel to compel me to settle his ticket fine, yet such efforts bore no fruit. The stream of coin hath ceased to flow. Mine limb did mend with great deliberation. The crutches were exchanged for a cane, and then, alas, naught remained. The pursuit of physical therapy proved to be a challenging endeavor, yet it remained clear and unambiguous in its path. Verily, 'twas the profound journey of the heart and mind that proved to be the true test of endurance. Counseling hath proven beneficial. In discourse through the ages of deceit, I ponder my own tendencies in pursuit of affirmation, coming to terms with the truth that the familial harmony I yearned for was but a mirage. The sweet taste of financial liberty was most evident. It was not solely a matter of possessing wealth. It was a matter concerning the lack of fearsome presence. The foreboding of the device's chime, the missive beseeching coin, the burdensome pangs of conscience. Mine account hath swelled, not merely in figures, but in what it doth signify, my toil, my worth, for my own self. To save, to invest, to chart a course for what lies ahead, a destiny no longer bound by the burden of supporting others. Upon deep contemplation, I pondered the essence of kinship and its true significance. It was not the essence of life, not by nature. It was reverence, affection, encouragement, and limits. The souls who gathered, not from duty's call, but from the depths of their affection. Fair Sarah, the esteemed Miss Dawson, my kinswoman. They had become my kin in this world. The departure of my kin, my parents and brother, hath cast a shadow upon my heart, a sorrow most intricate for souls who yet breathe. There existed instances of sorrow, tides of lamentation for the unfulfilled possibilities, yet such instances grew rare and more distant. They were supplanted by tranquility, by dignity, by the serene fortitude of understanding that I had rescued my own soul. Mine odyssey from that barren chamber of healing was not solely about the mending of a fractured limb. It was a tale of a shattered soul finding its way to wholeness once more. Upon my heart a heavy burden hath been laid, for I have suffered the cruel hand of exploitation in matters of coin, whilst my spirit hath been cast aside, neglected by those who should have been my steadfast support. Verily, I have been led astray by the very souls meant to uplift me, their words a shadowy veil of deceit. Yet, in their final deed of disregard, they bestowed upon me the bittersweet boon of insight. They revealed to me that my value lay not in the coins I possess or the burdens I bear, but in my rightful claim to be regarded with honor and compassion. It was through the trials of being shattered, wounded, and forsaken in a cold chamber that I came to grasp the profound essence of limits. The stark and unvarnished reality of their apathy hath liberated me from the shackles of seeking their favor. In the shadows of kinship, where eyes turned away, I discovered the essence of my own being. And that was a restoration more deep than any corporeal mending. To all souls who have wandered in shadows, feeling neglected, silenced, or exploited by those you deem kin, know that your emotions hold weight and merit. Thou art not deceiving thyself. Text, thou art not defined by the bounty thou dost offer, nor by the ease with which thou canst be swayed. To establish limits, even amongst kin, is not a deed of malice. It is a deed of safeguarding one's own essence. It is a deed of valor. Thou art not solitary. If this tale hath struck a chord within thee, or if thou hast traversed akin trials of familial discord, I beseech thee to impart thy experiences or musings in the comments below. In the sharing of our tales, we may discover fortitude anew.